So, let's get this show started on the road with business and immigration law updates. This will be headed by the Chief Attorney and Counselor at Immigration Law, Mr. Ramesh Khurana of the Khurana Law Firm, which is located conveniently in the heart of Gaithersburg, Maryland. The moderator here is Attorney Kenneth Haber from Boyd's, Maryland. As stated earlier, the two attorneys will be engaged in a question and answer session on advanced questions regarding U visa status. Let's take a look.
Welcome. My name is Kenneth Haber. I'm a former Assistant United States Attorney and a former Senior Attorney from the Office of Inspector General of the United States Department of Health and Human Services. And with me today is Ramesh Khurana. Welcome, Ramesh.
Thank you, Ken.
Ramesh is a world-renowned attorney, and when I say world-renowned, I mean that because he has clients all over the world. He does immigration work, and he has clients all over this country. He's helped many people to get situated in this country in a fashion that they desire. And we'd like to welcome him and you to the Capitol Forum. Ramesh, again, welcome.
Thank you again.
Can you explain a little bit about the U visa status?
Oh, sure. Ken, you are going to love this topic.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, I imagine.
Because of a former prosecutor. So, this U visa status is given to those people who have suffered substantial physical injuries or mental abuse. So, any person who can demonstrate that he is the sufferer, he or she is the sufferer of mental and physical injuries, that person becomes eligible to apply for U visa. But there are certain other requirements which are to be fully complied with in order to make your eligibility perfect. So, of course, there will be a police report if some criminal activity has taken place. And police report would indicate that you are the victim of the criminal activity which has happened with you particularly. And then the important requirement here is that this criminal activity is required to be certified by the law enforcement or the prosecutor. Now, there is a form 918B, and this is called the certification by the law enforcement people. You have to enclose this form while you file U visa application.
Does it matter where the crime occurred, whether it's in the home country or whether it's in this country?
No, crime should occur only within the territory of the United States in order to be eligible for U visa. If something happened back home while you were visiting, you are not entitled for a U visa.
So it's when you're assisting law enforcement in this country concerning crimes in this country?
Yes, crimes in this country and assisting law enforcement people in this country so that criminals are prosecuted.
How about crimes in other countries that affect this country, like cocaine that's coming into this country and you were, say, in Mexico or Colombia and you're a witness to it and you're willing to cooperate with authorities here?
You know, the regulatory requirement is that the crime should occur within the territory of the United States. So, in case the crime occurred outside the territory of the United States, so then of course your case is out for the eligibility of U visa.
I would imagine if they want the people back in Colombia bad enough and they're willing to charge them with conspiracy that's affecting this country, they'll probably determine that it's occurring in this country as well.
Well, if it can be determined like that this crime is happening in this country and law enforcement people, they want to prosecute that offender, then of course. But then both elements must be satisfied.
Yes, yes. I imagine there's many people that are able to come in for safety under the U visa where they're assisting law enforcement in this country concerning, cocaine and other crimes occurring elsewhere where it comes into this country later on.
That's right. Ken, you know, you'll be surprised to know that Congress approved only 10,000 U visas per year, per financial year. And we have been seeing the trend for the last several years. About 25,000 petitions are filed every year. And USCIS cannot give more than 10,000. So what they do is basically, if they think that the petition is approvable based on the facts of the case, they will wait list. So they prepare a wait list. But in the meantime, under the Deferred Action Authority, they will give the work visas to the victims of the crime.
So they'll basically be paroling them into the country.
Yeah. No, because they are already here.
They're already here.
They are already here, so they are allowed to work. And let us say that something has happened to a minor child. Recently happened, and he's my client. And in that case, her mother, she is also in unlawful status. She was looking for opportunities to get the legal status. Now, under the U visa, her mother is also entitled for the immigration benefit to be granted U1 visa. So that is possible because she is the mother of a minor child. Otherwise, spouses can also get the benefit. If one spouse has met with a criminal activity, which is a qualified activity, and the spouse can also apply for U1 visa.
What if two people are living together, they have a child even, but they're not married? Can that individual who is basically a spouse in all purposes except the law, can they get in?
No. If in the legal sense of the term, they are married, whatever is the state law, if they can be legally considered as husband and wife, they are not entitled. We have to provide a copy of the marriage certificate.
I see.
Yeah.
I suppose they can have a, instead of a shotgun wedding, they can have a application wedding where they get married just before filing the application, as long as everything else is in order.
You know, if again, that will depend upon the circumstances. If it is a sham marriage, I'm pretty sure Department of Homeland Security would find it out, because they definitely go into the details of these kinds of situations.
It'd be difficult to claim it's a sham marriage if they have a child, though.
Yeah, that's true.
As long as they're eligible for marriage.
Yeah. Then they will like to go into more details and ask for additional evidence. And additional evidence could be in the form of
The baby.
and commingling of assets. You know, if they have commingled their assets, they are living under the same lease, and or they own their home, they have a joint bank account, joint credit cards. So that's the kind of additional evidence requirement would be. But for the purpose of U visa, if the marriage is legal, spouse is entitled for U1 visa. Yes.
If a person is granted a U visa, what's your recommendation to deal with any issues concerning unlawful presence of the U visa applicant?
Now, Ken, this is a very good question. Now, as regards unlawful presence is concerned, first of all, the principal applicant. Unlawful presence doesn't trigger unless you leave the United States. It triggers only when you leave the United States. Let us say a principal has been approved, principal beneficiary, U visa. He has been approved U visa and he has to go back to his home country. The moment he has to leave for the home country, I will ask him to complete one application form for waiver, because the moment he is outside the boundary of the United States, now unlawful presence will trigger, and then you can file for the waiver. And once the waiver is granted, the person can come back. But before that, you cannot even file for the principal beneficiary. You cannot. Sometimes there are some inadmissibility issues. Let us say, I gave you the example of son and mother. If mother didn't enter through inspections. She just came illegally to the United States. Now, that's an admissibility issue because mother is inadmissible. She never entered this country legally. That kind of waiver you should file along with your U visa petition, because otherwise inadmissibility issue will create hurdle in the way of grant of mother's U1 visa.
What's the best possible way to deal with the situation where the U visa's applicant did not enter legally to the United States?
Yeah, we touched upon this point little bit in response to our previous question. If the person has not entered legally, then as I said, the person is inadmissible. So, you have to seek a waiver in regard to the inadmissibility issue.
Are they difficult to obtain, the waivers?
Again, it is decided on a case-by-case basis, but for the purpose of U visa, I think majority of the violations are forgiven, because major concern here is they are helping the law enforcement people and they are trying to help the law enforcement to prosecute criminals, to stop the criminal activity, and that is the intent of the Congress to create U visa.
Is there any, because there may be 25,000 applicants and 10,000 U visas, is there any sort of prioritization of the type of crimes that or the type of applicants that they may be willing to consider, or is it first come, first served basis?
I love this question. It is on a first come, first served basis. You know, whatever crimes which are recognized for the purpose of U visa, they fall in the same category. And once the application is received, so is in terms of the data processing or priority date. So, as I said, the people who cannot be granted U visa because of more petitions than the numbers available, I said 25,000 on an average people are applying for U visas and only 10,000 numbers are available. And one thing more to remember, when I say 25,000, now these would not include spouses and children. So, these do not count within 10,000 numbers, they are in addition to 10,000 numbers. They are getting work permits, also they are allowed to work, and probably at some point their applications for advance parole could also be considered, like they want to go out of the United States, they could go and come back, but you have to give the reasons and file an application for that.
Is there any sort of crimes that are not qualified as crimes? Does it have to be felonies that you're working with law enforcement on? Can it be misdemeanors? Are some of the crimes going to be of such a nature that the immigration officials say these aren't worthy of U visa?
You know, this could be misdemeanor as well. It doesn't have to be a felony charge. I give you one good example. I handled one case whereby the issue was of the domestic violence, and lady had made just one call, 911 call, and of course based on that call, because of the sour relationship between the spouses, they even filed for a protective order in the district court in Montgomery County. Based on those records, I was able to successfully obtain U visa status for that young lady, because it was a domestic violence issue which is recognized as one of the crimes. So, you have to see how the state recognizes that type of crime. So, most of the crimes are covered, and especially you have to look at the state definition, and like I said that this has to be endorsed or recommended by the law enforcement people, so they also give their comments. Recently, I processed one case and the law enforcement authorities, they signed the form 918 supplement B, but they stated in that particular form, this is subject to an evaluation report by the county's counselor. who's a psychiatrist. So it all depends how it is going to be recommended. But one interesting thing, if the case is not recommended or endorsed by the law enforcement people, and you have made your efforts to get the endorsement, still you can apply for U visa. You have to file with the Vermont Service Center of USCIS, and you can explain all the circumstances, like you tried to get the endorsement and it's a genuine case, it's a bona fide case, but it has not been endorsed by the law enforcement people. Then USCIS again would consider under the totality of the circumstances.
Very good, very interesting. Well, I'd like to thank you again for coming in and elucidating for our viewing audience concerning this timely topic. And we'd like to thank you, the viewing audience, for joining us on The Capital Forum.
I agree with you. This is a very interesting topic, Ken. If you have suffered any physical injuries or mental abuse because of some criminal activity and you are in an illegal status, remember to talk to your immigration attorney. Probably that could help you in getting you a legal status. Thank you very much for being with us, and thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.